Hello and welcome to Sports Night, your inside look at sports in Stoughton. I'm your host, Jeffrey Pickette from Stoughton Media Access, and on today's program, our first ever episode, we have 4 players from the Stougton High Football team, the 10-2 Black Knights who made history, winning the first ever Division III Southwest Championship. We also look into some Black Knights doing some great work off the field as well, fighting hunger. All that and more coming up next. So I'm here with 4 seniors from the Stougton High football team which went 10-2 and was a Division III Southwest champion. I'm here with Joey Wilder, who's an offensive lineman and defensive lineman, Jovani Pires, who was a running back and a defensive back, Malachi Baugh, who was a running back and defensive back, and Tim Porter, who was an offensive lineman and linebacker. And thank you guys for coming to the studio today and joining us.
Yeah, pleasure.
Just try to sum up this season and talk about this amazing journey where you went from just missing out on the playoffs the season before to finally kind of breaking the Stoughton curse of just missing out and coming this close to Gillette Stadium.
It was a season to remember, definitely. Wouldn't have rather gone out with any other guys than the ones I played with, and yeah, definitely brought us closer together, you know, as a family, and how we've played so well together, and we'll probably never forget this.
It was crazy, really, you know, all winter, all spring, you know, we worked out, and last year, you know, we just didn't get it done, and it's great to see that, like, we did it for those who couldn't do it, the Stoughton alum, and it was just crazy to think that we did so well this year.
Well, I think it's just this huge roller coaster ride, you know, especially for me. It's a pretty emotional one. It's just crazy how, like, in 8th grade we made the Pop Warner Super Bowl, and then we came back, you know, same team, missing a few guys, but, you know, we were stronger than them before, and these guys just really put everything together where it had to be.
Yeah, I agree. Coming into this season, we knew we had to get the 2 losses back from Sharon and Canton, but we also wanted to take each game one at a time. We started off with a small goal, and eventually we just kept winning games, and we kept the focus of practice, and I think we all sat down as a group together, and, you know, we decided, hey, we'd like to get a banner for this school and kind of go out with something great and be remembered by, and we ended up doing that, and yeah.
Well, Tim, I want to go to a quote that you had at the pep rally the day before Thanksgiving, and in your speech you talked about, you said, what everyone sees is the success, but what they don't see is the struggle. And you were talking about specifically the 8 months of preparation that goes into the season, but another way you can kind of look at that quote, the resiliency of this team. And every week you guys are winning, you're putting up big numbers, but you're doing it without some key pieces, Malachi namely. And so this season overall, you guys, very much like the New England Patriots, seem to always have that bounce back factor where it didn't matter who went down, next man up always seemed to step up. So just talk about that a little bit and what went into the importance of you guys being so resilient.
Well, you know, we said it in the preseason, we pride ourselves on toughness, and part of being resilient is being tough. And the thing about football is you have to deal with injuries. You take them as they come. And we lost a few good players over the course of our wins, and we had guys that filled the shoes of some big players like Malachi. And ultimately, resiliency was one of the keys to our success. Those 10 wins. That's how we did it.
And Malachi, talk about your journey. The Canton game, you're injured towards the end of that game, and the rest of the season, you're on the sidelines where you were expected to be one of the key contributors down the stretch. You made the Hockomock League All-Star team despite missing half the season. Just kind of talk about your personal journey on this team.
Definitely wasn't fun at all. It was very tough. I remember just getting up from when I got tackled and I looked down at my leg and I immediately knew it was like this is something like I was so overwhelmed that I just couldn't believe, like I knew this was like something like this was gonna happen from the start of the season, and I was scared. I was scared all these games. Like it's tough to really talk about. But I got up and I looked down my leg and I saw it wiggle and I was just like, man, this is really gonna happen right now. And I came to the sideline, after this Canton game, I see that we won, and all my teammates came to the table, saw their faces, and it really touched me. And like they all came to support me from the minute I got injured, and I respect these guys forever for that, and like these guys are really good guys for that.
Well, Jovani, the backs really stepped up in Malachi's absence. Well, running backs and defensive backs, and you were part of both groups. Talk about that.
Yeah, Malachi going down was really devastating. We knew right off the bat that a lot of people would have to step up. Me being one of them, I was happy to, I kind of had to take on that leadership role and fill the shoes. I had to kind of lead the younger guys into stepping up because now they were feeling some pressure too. But we all knew that we had a goal in the end to bring something back to our school. And from the second Malachi got hurt, we knew it was for him. So we're glad that we did that. And we just took it week by week and did what we could.
And Joey, to move on to the next question, at what point did you realize that this was a special team?
Definitely probably after the Hingham game, when I realized, I was like, we can really do this. Like, after that win, some people say it was lucky, but it came down to toughness. They were at the 1 and we stopped them. And that was almost our season right there. And I realized at that point that we're for real. Like, we have resilient guys, bunch of tough guys, and I knew that toughness was going to carry over to the next playoff games.
And you continued to make big plays every single playoff game. You start with that Hingham game, which you just mentioned, Joey, where Pat Rake came up with a big tackle at the 1 yard line with you're clinging to a 14-7 lead as time expires. Hingham's looking for the tying touchdown. And you blow out your next opponent, Hopkinton, but then you have that nail biter with Oliver Ames, which, correct me if I'm wrong, that's probably the game of the season for you guys.
Oh, definitely.
And that game, it was one of the most exciting games I've ever covered. Talk about that game, the back and forth nature of it, and also avenging your one loss to that point in the season. Oliver Ames came into Stoughton, beat you 35-7. Nobody was thinking you could go into their house and win the Division III Southwest Championship, but you did. So talk about that game.
Well, the game, most people know about the rivalry that we have, that we carry with Oliver Ames, and unfortunately, I didn't get to play in that game, so I had to serve as kind of a mental booster for all the other guys. And we lost to them in the beginning of the season pretty bad. We didn't play as a unit. We realized we knew we didn't play as a unit. We didn't step up to the plate. We didn't get into the end zone as much as we were used to. And the second time we played Oliver Ames, we came in with just the aggression and the motivation to just prove everybody wrong, because nobody really believed in us, and Coach Burke knew that, and Coach Burke made sure that we knew that. And being on the sidelines was tough for that game, but I made sure all these guys knew that what we had in our hands, and we just had to do it, and the ending was magical, and it couldn't have been any better.
The kick that everybody's talking about, Jake Gibb, he's a sophomore quarterback. He steps up a kicker, and he makes what proves to be the game-winning field goal kick with about 1 minute and 8 seconds left in that game to put you up 16-14. And on that drive, Jake was instrumental picking up first downs on the ground, also had a couple of big first down passes to Brian Crimmins. Jake's emergence really helped you guys get to where you ended up.
Yeah, Jake's going to be a really key factor for the next 2 years for this team. He's just maturing more and more. He's already a good leader. He's already got the skill. He's just a stud on the field, and just to see him lead us the way he could in the playoffs with all the pressure on him and everything was really awesome, and I just can't wait to see what he's going to do in these next 2 years.
Going back to that kick, so you're down 14-13. Jake's ready to kick. What's going through your guys' minds?
I can remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
I closed my eyes. I can't even lie to you. I was like, I can't believe this is happening right now. And then I just saw it was good. And then I was just so happy. But then I realized, I was like, hey, there's still 2 minutes left in this ball game. This game isn't over. We go on D, and they passed the ball pretty well. And they missed that field goal. And then after that, it was just unreal.
Right, you're up 2 points now, and Nick Sedato, who put a first half, last minute drive in the first half of that game to score for Oliver Ames. He was doing it again. He's just one pass after another, moving the ball down the field. And suddenly at the 11-yard line, they're ready to kick. They're a potential game winner. What's going through your minds now?
Everything was just out of a movie, it seemed like, Like something that I realized at the end of the game was that game went by so fast because it was so fun. And like everything around that game, like looking into the stands and seeing all the people that were there, like the preparation and anticipation during practice the week before, like watching film every night, like we knew this was probably going to be the biggest games that we've ever played in. And when they were kicking that field goal, like we all knew like this was it, like do or die right here. And we busted through their line, and the kid got the kickoff, but it was just wide right. And I remember turning to Pat Rake, and like we both just put our hands up and just hugged each other, and our team stormed the field, and it was something that's something that we've been looking forward to this whole season, especially after they beat us the first time. So it was just amazing.
And the next week at Plymouth South, you're playing for a chance to go to Gillette, and you come up with a player that everybody mentions, Dylan Oxen, and they're running back. You do a pretty good job shutting him down. So you came up just short in that game, 14-12. Is that something, looking back now that you've had the fantastic finish on Thanksgiving, do you just kind of look at that as a whole, that the season was obviously still a success? Is there anything in that game where you're just kind of, if this play went differently,
Yeah, well, having hindsight, it's like anything. You wish you could take a few plays back. You wish you could do some things over again, but that's just the way of sports, and you can't. And you have to deal with stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, we've said it a couple of times. If this play didn't happen, then maybe we would have had a better shot. But unfortunately, you can't do that, and we got outplayed.
Well, talk about the crowd support that game. It was at Brockton High School. The stands were filled on the Stoughton side. You can't really say the same for the Plymouth South side. Just the fan support you guys received. I mean, Jovani, I believe you had a tweet about seeing somebody in the supermarket and just coming up to you because you're wearing your Letterman jacket, which you have on now, and just kind of congratulating you on a great season. Just talk about the fan support during this run.
Yeah, it was great. I don't think we don't really have that many bandwagons, because like the football team at our school is pretty popular, and like right when we started doing well off the bat, we were getting fans after game 1, game 2, and even after our big loss, like the fans were still coming out, like had faith in us. And yeah, like I saw at the supermarket, like I was just standing there with my mom, and some guy, I guess he knew my dad somehow and played for Coach Burke, came up to me and just said, like, congratulations, like, I hope you know that you've made this whole town proud. You guys should be proud of yourselves. And like that just made me feel great, and knew that everything that we worked for since freshman year finally paid off, and you know, it was a great way to go out. Definitely.
Thanksgiving is when you guys had your final chapter, and it was an exciting game, and you know, especially Jovani, you had the game ending, or the game, you cemented the win with that interception in the end zone with about a minute left or so. That game itself, just what did it take to kind of refocus on such a short week from the Plymouth South game to Canton and get that trophy back after Canton upset you guys last year?
Yeah, well, the one thing is that, you know, we were so devastated after that loss. It's tough to go. We had played Friday, and then we had Thanksgiving game Thursday, as opposed to Canton, who had 2 weeks of rest. And, you know, that was key for them, and I had a feeling they were going to come out swinging. And, you know, luckily we matched their intensity. But, I mean, I still feel like it shouldn't have been that close. But, hey, you know, we got it done. I can't really complain.
And, you know, we got the Southwest title, and we came up short to Gillette. But once the clock was ticking down to Thanksgiving, we knew one thing was left, and that was our school record of 10 wins. And there was no way that we were going to let that slip because of what was at stake during the Thanksgiving game. So, yeah, as the team, as the Canton Bulldogs just kept driving down the field, we had that in the back of our mind. It definitely made us play harder.
And as you get this trophy, one of the pictures I remember tweeting out was the juniors, some of the key juniors holding that trophy, and they'll certainly like to get that trophy next year. Looking ahead, who are some of the key players, or what do you see from this team? A lot of people, honestly, coming into this season, after losing the likes of Adam Leonard, Mike Connolly, Dan Eckler, Frankie Morris, Marcus Middleton, Aaron Mack, Matt Mack, I mean, I could go on, and I know I'm missing others. How do you replace all those guys? And you guys did. Mm-hmm. Well, you could say the same thing next year. How do you replace the four of you? How do you replace Pat Rake? How do you replace Dom Evangelista, Kevin McDonald, so on and so forth? What's the outlook for next year?
Well, a big part, people are going to realize that the football team will lose its whole offensive line. And when you look at that, you say, wow, you might be screwed for next season. But see, we have 3 captains on the offensive line, and one of the biggest things that we prided ourselves on was mentoring the younger kids. And the juniors, they have some size. They're big kids. They have great athleticism. And we think, the 3 of us, the 3 captains on the offensive line, would agree that they can fill our shoes. They have the size, the speed, the mentality to really just do what we did for the guys that were lost last year.
Yeah. Malachi, do you see any backs stepping up, filling?
I definitely see a lot of backs, and I've had a couple come up to me and say, you know, Malachi, can you train me over the summer? And, you know, obviously they look up to me as a role model for them. You know, I'd love to be training with them in the summer, get them better, and, you know, see if they could make it further than us in the playoff and make it to the Super Bowl themselves. You know, that'd be great for them and for the town. Again, you know, it'd be sweet.
And it definitely all starts too in the off season, because when you're in the off season, like it's hard to get up in the summer at 7 in the morning and go lift and run the track. But you got to also think like, hey, in a couple months, like this is all going to be over. So the senior leaders that were above us definitely had that focus. I feel like we had that focus, and as long as the seniors that are coming up next year have that same focus, they should do pretty well.
The one thing I'll say about the up-and-coming seniors is that they have the greatest work ethic. Mm-hmm. I saw the weekend after Thanksgiving, Monday, kids are still in there, and that's going to be the key. Is they're able to work really hard in the off season, and they'll put the work in the summer. And I know in practice every day they're going to go hard, and that's how they're going to get it done, and they're definitely going to be able to fill our shoes.
And so this year, the MIA instituted a new playoff format, and I'm going to guess you guys are big fans after what happened. It expanded playoff format and shortened regular season. How did that kind of change the approach? You're playing playoff games week 8, week 9, and when years past, you're playing, Franklin, Attleboro. How does this kind of change? How did that change your approach to this season? You had probably 4 of the most strenuous games, week after week after week.
I think it just gave us more confidence, really. I mean, we have 8 regular season games, and all we had to do was don't lose more than like 2 games or something like that, right? And it just, if we win those 8 or 7 games, we're in the playoffs. And no matter and playoff atmosphere is way different than regular season atmosphere, and you play harder. And I saw it in these guys, and they played super hard. I was super proud of everyone on the team. To start to wrap up, when you guys get into the huddle at the end of the game after you win, Coach Burke with a hammer is leading your post-game huddle, and you guys usually say a couple of things. 1, hammer, and then us, we, together, forever. Can you guys just explain to me the meaning of those 2 symbols for your team?
Well, I'll start off with the hammer, I guess. The hammer just embodies the whole program. Alumni, present, past, it doesn't matter. If you played on this football team and you were a part of the hammer, and the hammer just it keeps everyone alive. Everyone's here when that hammer's on the field.
The one thing is the us, we together for everything. That just symbolizes that, this bond, although the football journey ends, the bond doesn't break. It lasts forever. So, you see someone that you play with or other alum, you see them, you're part of something special, and it's just an awesome feeling to know that I have just lifelong trail of brothers.
And when you look at the hammer is a strong piece of equipment, and that's what this community is. In Stoughton, we're strong people, and when we say us, we together forever, we have each other's back forever. We're friends forever, like it's not something you never forget. No matter how much like envy you have for your own teammate, or one day, you're gonna be friends the other day. And it's a great bond.
Yeah, the hammer, we come to lay the hammer as much as we can to every game. Us, we together forever. These are my brothers. Do anything for my brothers. No one but my brothers and I have gone through what we've been through. So we'll always remember that and keep it through for the rest of our life.
Well, you guys certainly had a heck of a run and a heck of a season and a lot to be proud of. And want to thank you for joining me in studio, and for the finest football players who have suited up in recent memory for Stougton High football program. So just want to thank you for coming by.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, and we'll be right back. The Stoughton High student athletes were winners off the field as well this fall. Find out what the Black Knights did to tackle hunger in Stoughton. The Athletes Against Hunger campaign, organized by volleyball coach Ken Gay, resulted in Stoughton High fall sports teams donating more than 1,100 non-perishable items to the food pantries in town. It's a challenge the fall sports teams started, and the winter and spring teams will continue.
We're challenging our athletes to fight against local hunger. Every single team from our fall program was challenged to bring in 1 piece of non-perishable items and put it into their team's bin. And the hope is that if a team had about 15 students, they would bring in 15 items, and then they would be at 100% committed to the fight against hunger. We're also going to carry this out through the course of the year. So now we have our numbers from our fall teams are in. We're going to have our winter teams compete against the fall, and then same thing, spring against winter and fall, to see which team in Stoughton cares the most about fighting against hunger.
If a team had 15 members and brought in 15 items, they would be at 100% participation. The volleyball team at 908% and the field hockey team at 745% had the highest total number of contributions, combining to donate 705 items. The boys and girls cross-country teams led the way in overall participation rate. The girls were second overall at 1,070%. The boys were first at 1,257%.
It was kind of a big deal when we heard about it, because we knew that also, like, on top of obviously it's a good cause, but we had such a small team, and with it being towards percentage, we knew that we could make a huge dent in kind of the standings. And so we kind of pushed our team to make sure they brought in as much as they could. They knew it was a good cause. I made sure they did know. My grandmother worked for the food pantry for a long time. She was the head of it. So yes, it did kind of hit close to home. It was a cause that I wanted it to be important to the team, and I wanted it to be important to the school. So I was happy to find out that we won. We worked hard for it. We made sure that we had all the right stuff. And it was good. I was proud of my team. They were proud of themselves, and again, it was all for a good cause.
I thought the athletic program doing the Strive Against Hunger was really wonderful for the school, so all the athletes could contribute to this cause, and I thought it really got everyone involved. And
for the teams not at the top of the pack, they are looking for an improved performance next year.
And based on our numbers this year for girls soccer, I think we can improve next year and get more people to donate.
This is a great opportunity for Stoughton to show that we do care about the community at large, and we were happy to see the kids respond as they did. We felt like paying it forward and giving some food to some people who really need it just seemed like a no-brainer.
Thanks for tuning in. Join us next week as we take a look at the start of the winter sports season.